President Donald Trump made a significant announcement on Tuesday, May 27, 2025. He signed full pardons for Todd and Julie Chrisley. Many know this couple from reality television. Their show, Chrisley Knows Best, was popular for years. The pardons mean their federal sentences for financial crimes will be set aside. This decision brings an abrupt end to their incarceration. The news quickly spread, generating considerable discussion across various media platforms and among the public, who have followed the Chrisleys story with keen interest for years. The details of the pardon emerged throughout Tuesday. This move by President Trump was not entirely unexpected by some observers. There had been speculation and advocacy efforts on behalf of the Chrisleys. The couple had been serving lengthy prison sentences. Todd Chrisley was at a federal prison camp in Florida. Julie Chrisley was at a federal medical center in Lexington, Kentucky. Their release, facilitated by these pardons, marks a dramatic turn in their legal saga and personal lives, a development that will undoubtedly be closely monitored. A key moment in the unfolding events was a phone call from President Trump. He personally contacted Savannah Chrisley, the daughter of Todd and Julie. Trump's advisor, Margot Martin, shared a video of this call on X, formerly known as Twitter. In the video, Trump can be heard informing Savannah of his decision to pardon her parents. He expressed his view on their situation, calling it a terrible thing. He then added, "But it's a great thing because your parents are going to be free and clean, and hopefully, we can do it by tomorrow." This direct communication underscores the president's personal involvement in the matter. During the call, President Trump also mentioned that he did not personally know the Chrisleys. He asked Savannah to give them our regards. Present with Trump in the Oval Office during this significant phone call was Alice Johnson. Miss Johnson herself received a pardon from Trump during his first term in office. She has since taken on a role described as his pardon czar. Her presence suggests a continued focus by this administration on clemency actions, particularly for cases that attract public attention or are perceived as injustices by advocates. The swiftness of the intended release by tomorrow also highlighted the president's decisive action. Todd and Julie Chrisley were convicted in June of 2022. A federal jury found them guilty on multiple counts. The charges were serious and related to financial misconduct over several years. The primary conviction was for a conspiracy to defraud banks. This conspiracy reportedly involved more than $30 million in fraudulent loans. Prosecutors argued that the Chrisleys used their production company to submit false documents to banks. These documents allegedly inflated their net worth to obtain loans they otherwise might not have received, painting a picture of financial stability that was not accurate. The bank fraud scheme was elaborate. According to trial evidence, the Chrisleys and their former accountant conspired to obtain millions in personal loans. They were accused of providing fabricated bank statements and false credit reports to financial institutions. When one bank loan came due, they would allegedly seek a loan from another bank to pay it off. This pattern of behavior continued for an extended period, allowing them to maintain an extravagant lifestyle. The prosecution presented a compelling case detailing the intricate web of deceit that ultimately led to their convictions and subsequent prison sentences for these financial crimes. Beyond the bank fraud, Todd and Julie Chrisley also faced charges for several tax crimes. These included attempting to defraud the Internal Revenue Service. The government asserted that the couple actively evaded tax collection for several years. They were accused of hiding income and obstructing IRS efforts to determine their true tax liabilities. These tax-related offenses added another layer to the complex legal challenges the Chrisleys faced. Their defense team argued against these charges, but the jury ultimately sided with the prosecution on these counts as well, finding them guilty of tax evasion. As a result of these convictions, Todd Chrisley received a 12-year federal prison sentence. He began serving his time at federal prison camp Pensacola in Florida. Julie Chrisley was sentenced to 7 years in prison. She was incarcerated at the Federal Medical Center, Lexington in Kentucky. These sentences were considered substantial, reflecting the severity of the crimes for which they were found guilty. The couple had been serving these sentences since early 2023, all while maintaining their innocence and pursuing appeals of their convictions, hoping for a different outcome through the legal system. The Chrisleys were best known for their reality television series, Chrisley Knows Best. The show, which premiered in 2014, depicted the lives of the wealthy Southern family. Todd Chrisley, the patriarch, was portrayed as a strict but loving father. The series showcased their opulent lifestyle and family dynamics. It ran for several seasons and gained a significant following. However, their on-screen image contrasted sharply with the financial difficulties and legal troubles that later came to light. The show's popularity made their subsequent trial and convictions highly publicized events, capturing widespread attention. Despite their convictions and the evidence presented at trial, Todd and Julie Chrisley have consistently maintained their innocence. They argued that they were victims of a rogue former employee who had committed the fraud without their knowledge. Their legal team filed appeals challenging the convictions and the sentences. They believed that the trial was unfair, and that crucial evidence was not properly considered. The pardons from President Trump now render these appeals moot, providing them with the freedom they had been seeking through the judicial process, albeit through a different avenue entirely. Following the announcement of the pardons, White House spokesperson Harrison Fields issued a statement. Fields explained the president's rationale for granting clemency to the Chrisleys. He stated, "The president is always pleased to give well-deserving Americans a second chance." This sentiment aligns with previous statements from the administration regarding pardons and commutations. The spokesperson emphasized the idea that the Chrisleys were considered deserving of this act of mercy, a point that will likely be debated by supporters and critics of the decision alike, given the nature of their convictions. The White House statement further elaborated on the perceived injustice of the Chrisleys' situation. Harrison Fields remarked that the couple had been unfairly targeted and overly prosecuted by an unjust justice system. He added that President Trump believed their sentences were far too harsh. This characterization of the justice system and the severity of the sentences reflects a theme often voiced by supporters of criminal justice reform and by President Trump himself. The personal call from the president to the Chrisleys' children from the Oval Office was cited as evidence of his direct concern for their case, framing the pardons as a compassionate act. The Chrisley family, particularly Savannah Chrisley, has been public about their support for President Trump. Savannah Chrisley spoke at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This event took place in July, presumably in 2024, placing her in a prominent position within the Republican Party's national gathering. Her speech at such a significant political event highlighted her family's alignment with the former president. Such public endorsements can sometimes play a role in how clemency petitions are viewed or prioritized, though the White House emphasizes merit in each case reviewed. Furthermore, Savannah Chrisley actively campaigned for President Trump. She participated in events as part of Team Trump's Women Tour. More recently, she discussed her parents' legal predicament and their prison conditions on Lara Trump's Fox News program. Lara Trump is, of course, the president's daughter-in-law. These appearances kept the Chrisleys' situation in the public eye and within circles close to the president. The advocacy clearly reached its intended audience, culminating in the pardons announced this week, which many will see as a direct result of these efforts and connections. President Trump has a history of issuing pardons that have generated significant public debate. During his first term, several of his clemency decisions were described as controversial. These involved individuals with political connections, or those whose cases were championed by celebrities or allies. Each pardon is, by its nature, a unilateral act of executive power. However, the pattern and choice of recipients often lead to discussions about fairness, justice, and the potential for political influence in the pardon process. This latest decision concerning the Chrisleys will undoubtedly be scrutinized within that broader context. The public reaction to the pardoning of Todd and Julie Chrisley is expected to be mixed. Supporters of the Chrisleys and advocates for broader pardon reform may view this as a just and compassionate act. They might agree with the White House's assessment that the sentences were unduly harsh. Conversely, critics may question the timing and the recipients, especially given their celebrity status and political connections. The impact of these pardons will extend beyond the Chrisley family, likely fueling ongoing debates about the use of presidential pardon power and the fairness of the justice system itself.